Everyone thinks they know the David and Goliath story. Underdog defeats giant, small beats big, good triumphs over evil. But here's what nobody tells you. David won this fight before he ever picked up a stone. Stay with me, because what actually happened changes everything you thought you knew. Picture this: two armies facing each other across a dried-up valley in Israel, the Valley of Elah. For 40 days straight, the same thing happens every single morning. A man steps forward from the Philistine side. His name is Goliath, and he's not just big, he's terrifying. Over 9 feet tall, some scholars say closer to 10. Bronze helmet, bronze armor covering his entire body, bronze shin guards. His coat of armor alone weighs 125 pounds. The wooden shaft of his spear, thick as a weaver's beam. The iron point on that spear, 15 pounds. He even has a shield bearer walking in front of him because his weapons are too heavy for one man to carry. And every morning, Goliath shouts the same challenge across that valley. Send out your best warrior. Let him fight me. If he wins, the Philistines become your servants. If I win, you serve us. Now here's the part that should shock you. Nobody responds. Not one soldier, not one commander, not even King Saul, who's the tallest man in Israel, trained for battle, anointed by God himself as king. 40 mornings in a row, 40 challenges, 40 silences. An entire army paralyzed by fear. Think about that. Thousands of trained soldiers, all frozen. Because here's what fear does. It doesn't just stop you from moving forward, it makes you forget who's already fought for you. Then David shows up. And David is not a soldier. He's a teenager, a shepherd, the youngest of 8 brothers. He's not even supposed to be at the battlefield. His father Jesse sent him to deliver bread and cheese to his older brothers and bring back news. That's it, food delivery. But when David arrives and hears Goliath's challenge, something in him snaps. Everyone else hears a death threat. David hears blasphemy. Listen to what he says. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Notice what David sees that nobody else does. This isn't about Israel versus Philistia. This is about a pagan warrior mocking the God of the universe. And David knows something the entire Israelite army has forgotten. When God's reputation is on the line, the size of the enemy doesn't matter. So David volunteers to fight. And you'd think Israel would celebrate, right? Wrong. His oldest brother Eliab gets angry. Why did you come down here? Who's watching your sheep? I know your pride and the evil in your heart. You just came to watch the battle. Translation: you're arrogant, you're irresponsible, you're just a kid seeking attention. The soldiers dismiss him. King Saul doubts him. You can't fight this Philistine, Saul says. You're just a youth, and he's been a warrior since he was young. But here's where David reveals what's really driving him. He doesn't give Saul a motivational speech. He doesn't say, I believe in myself. He tells Saul what already happened. Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. David had already fought predators more dangerous than Goliath, and he didn't win those fights alone. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. David's confidence wasn't in David. It was in God's track record. Saul finally agrees, but he tries to help. He dresses David in his own royal armor, helmet, coat of armor, sword. David tries to walk in it, but he can't move, so he takes it all off. Now this moment is easy to miss, but it's critical. David doesn't reject the armor because he's stubborn. He rejects it because faith doesn't require you to fight like someone else. Saul wanted David to fight like a soldier, but David wasn't a soldier. He was a shepherd, and God had trained him as a shepherd. So David picks up his staff, walks to a stream, chooses 5 smooth stones, puts them in his shepherd's bag, and grabs his sling. That's it. No armor, no sword,
no backup plan, just the tools he'd already learned to trust. David walks toward Goliath, and when the giant sees him coming, this teenager with a stick, he's insulted. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" Goliath shouts. Then he curses David by his Philistine gods. "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." And this is the moment everything changes. Because David doesn't shrink back. He doesn't second guess. He responds with the most powerful declaration in the entire story. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." Read that again slowly. David isn't denying Goliath's weapons are real. He's declaring whose power is greater. Then David says something that should give you chills. "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." David doesn't say maybe, he doesn't say I hope, he says this day the Lord will deliver you. That's not arrogance, that's faith speaking with certainty about God's character. Goliath moves toward David, and David doesn't wait. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't walk. He runs toward the battle line. Think about that. A teenage shepherd running full speed at a 9-foot armored giant. David reaches into his bag, pulls out one stone, loads his sling, and releases. The stone flies through the air and strikes Goliath in the one place that's exposed, his forehead. The giant crashes face first into the ground. Before the Philistine army can even process what happened, David runs over, takes Goliath's own sword, and kills him with it. The battle is over in seconds. The Philistines turn and run. Israel pursues and wins a massive victory. One stone, one swing, one giant down. But here's what you need to understand. David didn't win because he was brave. Courage alone doesn't defeat giants. David won because he saw reality through a different lens. Where everyone else saw an unbeatable giant, David saw a limited human defying an unlimited God. Where everyone else calculated odds, David remembered faithfulness. Where everyone else focused on what they lacked, David used what he'd been given. This story has survived for 3,000 years because it reveals a timeless truth. Giants don't fall when we believe in ourselves. They fall when we remember who God is. Goliath trusted in size, weapons, experience, and reputation. David trusted in the character of the God who had already proven faithful. And that made all the difference. So here's my question for you. What giant are you facing right now? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's an impossible situation. Maybe it's opposition that seems too big to overcome. Here's what David teaches us. The size of your giant is irrelevant compared to the size of your God. Your credentials don't matter as much as God's faithfulness. And you don't have to fight like someone else. God trains you through your own story. David didn't need Saul's armor. And you don't need someone else's method. You just need to remember what God has already done and trust Him with what's ahead. Because the same God who empowered a shepherd boy still specializes in impossible victories. He always has. If this changed how you see this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that digs deeper into the stories you thought you knew. I'll see you in the next one.